So I live in the beautiful Dandenong Ranges in Melbourne. This is my office, so I get to stay in a beautiful space. Sold our business recently over the last 3 years and self-employed. I didn't know what I was going to do life after Gaia, so it was a little bit scary. And I've spent half my life in my marriage doing what I've been doing. So my life has taken a massive change in the last 3 years. And I kind of fell into being a business and marketing strategist and absolutely love what I do, love watching businesses grow, and that's what I fill my days with.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard. Here's your host, James Evenden.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard, where I get to speak with property investors from around Australia about their investing journey. My name is James Evenden and I'm a property consultant at Positive Real Estate, where we help people to build wealth through property. This is episode 49 and I'm so excited to bring it to you. It's been a long time in the making, and with over 8,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully make your investing journey even easier. Today, my guest is Michelle Vogranek. Michelle is a remarkable woman. She is a business leader, having built a great company many of you may have heard of. She is a business coach, sharing those lessons and everything she learned from that space. She's a highly successful investor, owning blue chip properties with high equity and cash flows in them. Outstanding stuff there. She's also a martial arts expert, competing and coaching on the world stage. I know that Michelle has got some amazing lessons for us. I can't wait to hear them. So enjoy this conversation with Michelle and enjoy the show.
Hello, how are you? How is everyone?
Thank you. It is really wonderful to have you on. I know there might be a few fans out there of yours too from your business. So let's maybe just jump in. I'd love to hear a little about you. You know, I've given you a brief wrap on your bio. Where are you? And sort of what fills your days?
So I live in the beautiful Dandenong Ranges in Melbourne. This is my office, so I get to stay in a beautiful space. Sold our business recently over the last 3 years and self-employed. I didn't know what I was going to do life after Gaia, so it was a little bit scary. And I've spent half my life in my marriage doing what I've been doing. So my life has taken a massive change in the last 3 years. And I kind of fell into being a business and marketing strategist and absolutely love what I do, love watching businesses grow. And that's what I fill my days with, as well as, a little bit of karate in there as well, instructing karate.
Well, I want to hear a little bit about that for a moment, because not many of us wear business hats, life hats, mum hats, all these hats. And I'm a karate instructor. Have you done that since you were a kid, or is that a later in life pursuit?
It was kind of a midway point. So I was actually a professional fighter for a long time. I've done it for 27 years. Yeah, I've traveled the world with it actually. And now I instruct and I coach and get fighters ready for fighting and get people ready to progress through their ranks. Yeah, it's something that I really love.
Oh, wow. And goodness, we could spend a whole episode talking about that. But I imagine discipline and focus would be a couple of the traits and attributes you get from that.
Definitely. Discipline is huge. So, you've got to apply yourself. You've got to have discipline to do it, even when you don't want to do it. Sometimes that happens, but yeah, you need to apply yourself to get through the ranks and do what you need to do. And particularly fighting, it's really scary to step on a mat and want to smash the crap out of each other, because it's bare shin, bare knuckle that I do. It's knockdown fighting. So it's quite a scary thing. So yeah, you do need a lot of discipline.
Wow. I've got a lot of wows in me after hearing all that. And I'm even super more impressed. So I love it. So discipline and focus. And I guess with that, we can maybe segue into investing and property and you as an investor. Let's maybe a nice question. Where were you with investing, property and so forth before Positive? Oh, I should ask first, how long have you been around the PRE camp for?
I've been around PRE now for about nearly 2.5 years, actually. So I had a couple of properties 20 odd years ago prior to business, and the accountant at the time said, sell it all and go into business. I don't know that was great advice, but It worked out okay in the end. So I have very little property experience prior to joining PRE. Really didn't know much about it other than, the occasional telemarketer that would ring me and say, do you want to come to an investment night? And me going, not from PRE, obviously, but somewhere going, yeah, no. So had no idea about property, and it seemed like quite a big animal to sort of play with.
And were you in your family home? How long ago did you buy the home you're in?
So I bought here 2.5 years ago, and I moved into here then. So, it was quite a big change that was happening in my family. I didn't have a lot of knowledge about that. And my financial advisor at the time had said to me, here, I'm going to put you in contact with Jason. He's a property person. He'll help you with your PPR. So that's kind of how my journey started. I wasn't actually going into investing. And it kind of tumbled from there, based on changes in the marketplace, COVID, all those things that happened. My investment strategy sort of changed quite rapidly.
Yeah, well, and I get that. I think many of us, I think we get the notion of family home and buying that as an asset and building that.
Yeah.
And, it may be that that's all we have. I guess, for all of us tuning in, if you don't have investment property yet, or you're not part of PRE, well, welcome. This is what we do, what we love. If we are around the PRE campfire, then investing and through property is something we're after. It was recommended to you by, I think it was Andy. Andy Fenton.
Yeah.
We love Andy. We hear him tune in on a Friday with Jason, do wine and wisdom. And so it was a bit of a, hey, you know what? You're doing some good things. I think you should also be looking at property, and that started and opened that door.
Yeah, it did. He said that to me. He sort of said, things are changing. So when interest rates plummeted, that affected the investments that I had in term deposits and all that sort of jazz. And he's like, okay, we need to re-strategize what's happening. Go talk to Jace and have a look at this side. And I was like, I have no idea about this. None.
Yep.
And so it wasn't, Jason was great. And yeah.
And prior to that, would you have had the money to invest in property prior to this?
I probably could have, actually, knowing what I know now. But what I didn't know at that time was how that can be structured, or how you can go about it and what you can do to make that happen. So the team at PRE have actually worked through that with me, and I've learned so much about how that can, your money can be deployed, how you can do all those sorts of things that I wouldn't have actually known prior to that. I think the media smashes you with a lot of incorrect information. So don't listen to the media in that regard. I think you'll be up for a bum steer.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, we know that, in essence, news outlets are there to, report, absolutely, but also they sell advertisements in their business. They certainly need headlines to be clicked to fulfill their mission for all of their their interested parties. So it was more, but perhaps just unawareness, lack of knowledge prior.
Absolutely.
But you didn't know what you didn't know.
I think I also was a little bit frightened of it, because it seemed like, there was a lot involved, and me going, oh gosh, that's a lot of stuff for me to manage. I don't think I can manage that on my own. So, I'm financially independent, and I wanted to make the right decisions, and I just didn't see that as being one of them. I know different now, but at the time I really didn't see that was a viable thing for me, because I just really didn't understand what I was doing.
and so coming
I know now.
Did you, coming in, sorry to cut you, did you just sort of, I know that we've got the a lot of content. Were you more, let me absorb this, go through this, structure this, or was it a little bit of action and learn, or was it just action straight away?
For me, it was action straight away. I'm the why person. So, I was the person in the classroom that used to go, what is this? What is that? And the teacher would go, Michelle, shut up. Stop asking so many questions. So for me, it was kind of like, go in and learn as I was going along, and having, poor Haley, and Megan, I was on the phone to them and messaging them constantly with this list of questions. And what if this, and how does this, and where does this, and that side of things. So learning as I've gone along, I can't believe how much I've learned, actually. Having that monthly call as well to go, okay, well, this is where I'm at in my journey. What do I do next? Or what's the next stage? So I've been able to break it down incrementally and learn the little bits and pieces as I go along. So that's been really good. And I like to learn. So it's something that was really good for me to do. I've enjoyed the process.
And as a coach yourself, you've grown into that role. I know that through business and being such a successful businesswoman. And were you able to say, okay, I can see the structure here. I really like this. I know where this is likely taking me. You trusted that, and were you booking a monthly call? Were you thorough with things? I've sort of heard a few things like that there.
Yeah, I look at it as a business. So I treat investing as a business. And when you're in business, you compartmentalize things down and you put systems in place and structure so that you learn, that you can make decisions about things, so that you know where your cash flow is at, so you understand what's required for you to progress. So I kind of look at it that way and broke it down, going, right, I'll have my monthly call. I still do have a monthly call with my coach. My coaches, Megan and Jason, my coaches. So I sit down with them. I did that yesterday, actually. And because the market has changed so rapidly, being able to sit with them and go, well, what do I do now? Because this is happening. There's a delay. What happens with that? Or how do I go about that? And so having that support along the way, and then all of the mentoring nights. So I'm on every mentoring night, every fortnight. So all of those things, all in combination, I think has helped me put into place my structures, my process, my learning. It's kind of a package, really, actually. I don't think that, and it's quite unique. I haven't seen it in sort of anywhere else.
Oh, I love it. Well, I love hearing that. And, from someone, as I said, who is a coach and who gets that, you've been able to just say, right, show me the way, hold my hand, take me through the process. You did hit on something there that I'd like to maybe explore a little bit more on. You talked about your cash flow, your numbers and that sort of thing. And I know from you that that's been a big part of you really nailing that. What were you like with that from a personal standpoint, numbers, financials, or the rest, sort of pre, and then as you come aboard and said, holy cow, I better get sorted on this. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Oh, I'm a bit of a spreadsheet nerd, as I'm sure you know, but I don't really know what my cost of living was. I really didn't understand how much I spent, or what I was spending my money on. So having set up a spreadsheet and making sure I knew exactly where my money was going, so I knew how much I needed or what I had left or how I could use my money better, rather than just rolling through every day and going, yeah, it seems it's like this. And then getting, the advice on, well, if we want to do this, these are the things that I recommend you do as part of this journey, so that you can then either go for leverage later down the track, or like I don't have a credit card. I used to operate off the whole bill it to your credit card and then pay it off in full. I don't do that anymore. I've got no credit card. I've got no debt, which is great. Making sure I understand. Yeah, it's really important.
No personal debt. Yeah, no personal. You've got debt, but not personal debt. So car, credit card, etc. And that's something I'm aware of. So so knowing your numbers, did you use Excel? Let's get a little bit more granular here. Did you use Excel? Did you have, because there's some fancy tools out there and that can be overwhelming for some, but I'm still a bit of an Excel junkie.
I'm a real nerd for spreadsheets. I think data is important, and when you've got the right data, you can make decisions. I've got a spreadsheet at the moment, but I also have an app which downloads my bank accounts. So then those bank accounts spew, and I actually had a financial analyst put my spreadsheet together so that that all downloads into the spreadsheet and then spews out into the categories in which I spend. So I know each month where I'm at. And I think that's really important. It's really easy to do, but it can get overwhelming.
Personal living expenses, running, multi-million-dollar business, and that's some heavy lifting in terms of accounts and financials. This is for your personal life. Yeah. Wow. And so that's an app.
If you don't know, you don't know. And how can you make decisions? And because I am financially independent, I want to make sure that I'm making the right decisions. I think it's when you get to, so I'm 49, I'm hanging on to that 49 for the next 4 months. But I think you get to, I think you get to a point where you sort of go, gee, retirement age isn't that far around the corner. What do I need to do? And I quite wonder how many people, I think it's quite a high percentage, I don't have the data on that, but that would wait to this point and suddenly go, right, what do I need to do now to retire? But it's not a bit late. It's never too late, but it would have been good to know that, or actually understand that a little bit earlier. So now, you know, understanding where everything is at is really important. So I can make those decisions for that future sort of area of my life.
I love it. And you know what? If you don't do your own numbers, no one's going to. You can pay your accountant, and if you've got an account, you can do all the rest. You've still got to provide the numbers. You've still got to reconcile your own numbers and know them, whether it's through Xero, whether it's through a spreadsheet, an app, or whatever it is. Yeah. And if you're not aware of your own, you
can't make decisions.
You've got.
But you know what was interesting? This was fascinating. I also recorded all the refunds that I did. So when you go, you know, to Kmart or you go somewhere and you have a bit of an impulse buy, and I actually recorded $3,500 worth of refunds in a year. So, you know, that $10, $15, $20 spend that you do, you don't realize how much that adds up. So I was really surprised at the end of the year that by doing, so, you know, that's not including what I spent. Sure. That's just the ones that I went, oh, that was a bit of an impulse buy, I'll take that back. It equated to $3,500 a year. So, wow. And I wouldn't have known that, nor would I have even thought that it was remotely close to that had I not had the data to validate it.
And were you looking at that and able to break it down on a quarterly basis? Was it monthly, week? You know, tell us around a little bit of shape around that.
Yeah, so looking at that, I realized there were certain times, like, so in high stress, I'm a bit of a shopper, or and I think with COVID it was kind of closed off. Like being in Melbourne, we had, you know, pretty severe lockdowns. We couldn't go shopping. So, you know, I was able to do and check that out and then go, wow, oh, I did that there and I've done that there. Okay, well, I've spent more here, so I'm going to not spend as much over here. And know that I've got this goal in mind. And it's good because with all the planning and everything with the portfolio, I know I've got this as my end goal and I'm kind of motoring along. And if I start stuffing it up over here somewhere, it's going to affect over here. So like having that data is really, really important. I do review it. I review it regularly.
And I think
I review it. Yeah. Sorry?
I was going to say timing. You mentioned COVID there and lockdowns and all the rest. And I know from my own personal and family spending habits, many of us may be in a similar to COVID. We didn't holiday. We didn't shop as much. Now, online shopping certainly increased and all sorts of things. But many of us, you know, decided, well, let's do a reno. My personal journey is I'm doing a reno, my family home. We redirected a lot of our spend or saved a lot. And now that things are open, holidays on, travel's on, for some of us, maybe even me, we're going, right, it's spending's back on again, right? So now more than ever, it's important to have a handle of, okay, what was I able to live with? What was the upside of that, you know, in terms of savings and all the rest and reinvesting, and goodness, maybe not slipping into old habits, and knowing your numbers and reviewing them is pivotal. That's what I'm hearing.
I never thought that I was actually able to get a handle on this information. I'm dyslexic and numbers, you know, kind of play a little bit. I process them quite differently to a lot of people. But what I found is I never really thought that this was an area that I would be able to manage, and I'm managing. In fact, I'm actually quite good at managing it, I've now discovered. So, and that's only through having the information to actually manage it correctly, rather than just randomly sort of thinking, oh yeah, it looks like this, but that's actually having that support and that guidance to go, well, set this up, look at it like this, try like this, and having some of those calculators in place that you know, PRE's got a calculator that I use, you know, to assess opportunities and stuff like. But if I didn't have those and that support, I wouldn't actually know what I was capable of or what I can do. So that's been a really good thing for me, where I've spent a lot of my life feeling like numbers were a bit of a problem for me, when in fact I'm actually quite good at them.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. There's a door there. Like, let's explore that a little, because you didn't feel you were good with numbers. You may not necessarily have had to do them. You know, in your business, you had an accountant, you had all these sort of things, and other people doing those things. But you found yourself in a place like, okay, well, if I'm not doing them now, who else will? It's up to me.
Exactly.
Getting over that mindset. I mean, motivation can come from, many forms, but, necessity is a good one. But so you had necessity. What else? Let's talk through maybe your mindset of just saying, okay, I've got to get this,
Yeah, I think Andy Fenton is really, really good at explaining this side of things. So previously my accountant would speak to me and I'd look at him like, what are you talking about? Or someone else would talk about, real estate or whatever. And I'd be like a deer in a headlight going, I have no idea what you're talking about. But when I found Andy to be able to break it down and explain to me how to do bits and pieces and how to put it together, and I started to have confidence around that and change my money story. I think I was sort of thinking that, I couldn't do that. But when I started to embrace, well, I have to do this and I don't want to give it to my accountant to do. I actually want to understand it so that then I can make decisions, or it was something that I wanted to understand a bit better. And yeah, it was really interesting. Then suddenly go, yeah, well, I'm actually quite good at this, which I didn't think I was. It may not be the same as how other people do things, but the outcome is the same. So yeah.
No, I love it. So what I'm hearing there was obviously a need and a necessity for you to do. You had a trusted advisor and guide through that, a coach. Obviously with we've got coaches. We're talking Andy, and he's a great asset in terms of our model as well. So you had a guide and a coach there to help you with it. You broke it down into manageable steps, and I think that's the one that I'm really hearing here. You didn't go, oh, I've got to learn it all today. No, I'll learn a bit, do a bit, learn a bit, do a bit, learn a bit, and then you turn around and went, So in doing that, you actually you created a new story for yourself that I'm capable and I'm actually achieving here.
Yeah. And I'm actually pretty good at it. So, but I think those steps were achievable by having the right team. So when, when I was looking at the first property, or when I was looking at the first investment, I was like, how do I assess this? So having I sent Haley like, oh my gosh, I don't know how many messages saying, answer this for me. And there was so many questions, and she just laughed and said, hey, we'll work through it bit by bit. So we did, and we compartmentalized it down into, you're up to this stage, and then you've got this, and then you've got that, and then there's another bit here. And having that support where you felt this is okay. You didn't feel like a pain. You didn't feel like, oh gosh, I'm not getting this. There was always support there to help me through those processes until, and if I didn't understand something, or Megan to jump in and go, okay, well, let me try a different way, or there was so much support in those little facets for me to be able to get it. And I'm still learning, obviously, but I'm quite good with all the information now. It's really good to be able to make assessments. I know I say it to you all the time, send me this because I want to assess it. So I assess all this stuff.
You do, and I know you're not necessarily right. You're not in acquisitions phase, not right immediately, certainly. But we still talk property, and you still say, I want to have a look, I want to know the numbers, and it's you're building on your knowledge base, building on your understanding and awareness, and that's that's a huge piece of any successful journey. Continually build on your knowledge and do that. I'm loving hearing that. So with that, you built your mind. So let's switch gears just a little, and then let's talk about properties, specifically properties. We don't have to go into detail. I've got this one and this and this and this, but more about the journey through those. There's obviously been some that have been easier than others. Where have you sort of, let's get into that, and maybe mindset around getting through the process and tenancy and cash flows now that you've got stuff happening.
Oh, look, at the start, it was just kind of all exciting, actually, because you get to spend, you get to kind of buy, but having, making sure that you're within the bounds of what you need. But riding the roller coaster, because the market changes, and it has changed significantly, and having the contracts team at PRE was, oh my gosh, I don't know what I've done if I didn't have that in place because of the delays that occurred. And they're normal, like they might have been a little bit longer than what they would not, traditionally be, but it's actually quite normal for this to happen, I now know. And having that in place for me to go, what do I do now? And they say, okay, it's fine, we've got it. So they're going back into that space and working out what's happening with my build when it's behind. When Chermside got tenanted, I was so excited. That was tenanted within like 5 days, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I was really excited with that. The guys were really great at R&W for
And had
getting
you
that done
had
for me.
a little bit of stress? Let's talk about that one. Just dive in a little. Did you have stress about that at the time? Like, oh my goodness, it's coming to settlement. It's my first one. Am I going to get a tenant? Go through all of that, and that's natural.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm realizing is these things are natural. And I think, I think resilience is a gift that we can give ourselves and our children in life. Like if we can learn to ride the roller coaster and just ebb and flow with uncertainty and all those sorts of things, then you cope so much better as a person. And so when I'm looking at this thing going, how do I select someone? So I was like, what information do I need to know? How does this work? How does that work? So again, I was back on the messages and got all the answers that I needed to make decisions, and based around whether or not, when can a tenant move in, what money is being offered, how long, and all those types of questions were answered for me to make a decision and then put a tenant in. So I was a bit excited about that. I was doing a little bit of a happy dance in my office.
Well, you got to. I mean, celebrate your wins. That's something I've learned in life. You got to stop and celebrate your wins, because that's the win.
Absolutely.
You own the keys and you've got a tenant and income's coming in, and that's actually happening. That's a big step.
Yeah, it's a bit exciting actually. I rang Hayley and said, "Oh my gosh, this is happening," and she's like, "I know, how exciting, yay!"
And so that was an off the plan apartment, or short term off the plan apartment, and done. So that's quite straightforward from my seat, at least, in terms. And I've built and I've renovated and there's many of that. But I heard in there the contracts team were great, and Lila, Joe, Mary, and Jess, an amazing team, and I can't speak highly enough of them. I love hearing you do that though.
Oh my gosh, there was no way I would, because so one of my builds at the moment is delayed about 12 months. And I'm sitting here going, oh, well, that actually mucks with my cash flow. So that's okay. What do we need to do? What do I need to do? I've gone back my end, and knowing my numbers again has helped me do that, being able to go, okay, that's a little bit behind. What do I need to do in the interim? And what happens now? Or what does this mean when I've got this, an email through saying, oh, this is happening and that's happening. What does this mean? And being able to go back to Joe or to Mary and go, what does this mean? It's okay. We've got it covered. That means this means that. And we'll go back and liaise for you. You don't need to do anything. So that was a godsend, because I was really quite nervous going, I have no idea what this means. So being able to get that explained, and then having someone manage that for me, or pick up, no, they shouldn't be emailing you, they should be emailing us, or this is how that extension should work. It's like this, not like that, I would have no idea about. So, and then explaining that to me was really helpful.
I love that, because it's really rubber meets the road space. Contracts and terms and all the rest. And Lila and the team, the contracts managing team, I always say, we don't do in-house legal work for you. You get an independent, legal advice solicitor to do that, and that contracts there. But they're there to, take it from first step to, a tenant, and everything that comes with that and in between. Some processes are straightforward, nice and simple, but as we know, some aren't, right? And that's the investing journey. You did say there, a build 12-month delay. It hasn't been easy through COVID for a lot of builds and a lot of builders and land, and certainly Southeast Queensland has seen a literal boom of never felt proportions and effects, right? You're having to sit and wait and be patient. That mustn't be easy, but how are you getting through that?
And I think I rang you and said, hey, listen, is there anything I can do with this, or do I just need to sit tight? And spoke to Megan about the same thing. And they're like, no, we'll just have a look. We'll ask the contract team what's happening. We'll come back. It's okay. We just need to roll. Then organised an appointment with my coach, sat down with Megan and Jason, said, okay, this is a scenario. This is now actually going to be over here. And that means this is going to be over here. What do I do? So having that ability to actually go, okay, this is the scenario, right? Well, let's have a look at this, have a look at numbers, have a look at this, and then just work out, where to from there, as opposed to panicking and going, oh my gosh, what's happening? It's okay. It's just part of the journey, and how do I manage that? So yeah, and having that meeting yesterday and going, hey, this is what I need to manage, and where's that at, and having that road, that, you know, person to help you with that is really, really invaluable. I cannot tell you how valuable that is to me.
I love it, because part of us minds think, oh, no, that's dreadful. Oh, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen to you. It should happen to me. All the rest. I mean,
Yeah.
from an investment point, it does come down to the numbers. Well, there's going to be a bottom line cost on this.
Yeah.
You're not in this position because everything's easy and you just, you know, the market did something remarkable. You've got a lot of equity in that property. That will happen. It just hasn't been built, so you can't realize it. Your land's gone up. Once the build gets done, you know, you're going to have strong equity. You could focus on what you don't have now, which is, I don't have the home I expected, etc., etc. I've got some higher outgoings, cash flow. Or okay, well, this is going to cost me a bit more in terms of ongoing cash flow. If I get my head right, you know, I can close the file on that and know that I will have that outstanding result, probably better than I could have imagined, because that market's boomed. So it's a lot inside here, isn't it?
It is definitely. I think mindset's really, really important, and words have power. And the more we learn to, as I said, ebb and flow, and being in business teaches you quite quickly to ebb and flow with challenges. And I probably wasn't previously that great at it, but I've learned over time to be better at it. Otherwise, you just get stressed, and I don't want to get stressed. I would rather just roll with it and then just treat it as a naturally occurring kind of event, that you just, everything goes up and it goes down and you just roll with it rather than stressing out about it. But as long as you have the data, and, you know, having that information on my spending was huge, because then I could go back and go, yeah, all right, not visiting Kmart this week, or I'm not visiting those places this week, and being able to adjust a little bit. And yeah, that was easy. I won't go out for dinner maybe, or, you know, whilst, you know, for a short period of time, but it gave me options, and the data enabled me to make decisions.
I love it. I love that you've come back around to that after we've talked about mindset and this and that. Come back to the numbers. They've given you confidence where you didn't have confidence in that space before. You learned that through simple steps, you know, getting good coaches and advisors, breaking it down, asking a lot of questions, which well done, and getting clear on it, so that when you continue your journey, you can go back and say, okay, I've got this because I've learnt this and I've got these numbers. I mean, I'm
confident now with the decisions I make, whereas previously I was like, oh, am I doing the right thing? What am I doing? And so during a coaching call, for example, I've gone back to Megan and said, okay, this is my thought. It looks like this and it's like this. Is that actually right? Am I on the right? And she said, you're absolutely on the right path, and add this in there, and then you'll be able to, oh yeah, cool. Like it really has. And I'm not questioning myself anymore. I know that what I'm doing or how I'm going about it is perfectly fine. It's more than fine. It's actually working really well.
Oh, I love hearing that. And I really do hear that you speak fondly and with respect on what Megan and coaches are able to bring to it. There's many awesome coaches inside the pre-organization. I love that, because the coaches help us with our mindset. Yes, there's strategy and there's all of these things, but being able to pick up the phone to someone who's probably gone through it, and is able to be your sounding board to go through it and say, you know, huge to do that. Awesome. I love it. All right. Maybe one or two more questions here, to just, you know, if you could go all the way back, you're talking to young Michelle, all right, and now you know what you know about property. What would be your advice? Because there's some of us who are tuning in here, they're in their 20s. Go for you guys. What would you say to your young 20-something Michelle about property investing in the future ahead?
I think, you know, I would get information, and get the right information and support. You know, the media hams things up and tells you that the sky is falling, look out. But when you look at the data doesn't lie. And if you get in and amongst the right support with the right information, and just take the time to do that, you'd be amazed at what you can create now for the future. And I think when you are younger, you don't want to know about that. But as I said, getting into this, you know, turning 50 this year, going, oh, hang on a sec, I do want to know about that. It'd be great if I knew about that back then, but had the right support to do that. Data doesn't lie, and PRE have shitloads of data. Or now you're going to have a disclaimer on your podcast. I haven't dropped the F-bomb today, so you're doing okay.
Today's age.
But yeah, having that information, and actually here's the facts and here's the support to do it. And I think if you had that back then, it would make a difference to the path that you take on your journey, and realize, I think, your money story. So wealth creations is a good thing to do, whereas, you know, sometimes it's seen as arrogant, or sometimes it's seen as something that's not, I don't know, it's just sometimes has a stigma to it. But embrace that this is part of your future. This is part of what gets you to where you want to go, and live the life you want to live, as opposed to getting up day to day and just doing, you know, Groundhog Day. It actually enables you to live your life by design, I guess, and be able to manage that. So yeah, go back earlier and look at it rather than waiting until you're turning 50.
I love it.
It's never too late, but you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not, right? No, it's not. I love hearing all of that. And live your life by design. What a beautiful term and phrase, and something to aspire to. The future. Yes, we know that a big 50th. I want to see photos of that. But are you excited about what's in front of you in terms of investing, and how you're setting yourself up and what you've got ahead?
I am, because I'm actually now going, I know what I need to live on. I know what I want to have fun, like that extra above and beyond. And I know what I want. I want to go to Japan next year for the World Tournament. So I'm already in my mind now going, all right, how do I make that happen? So there's lots of I've got the systems in place to allow me to do that. So I know that, right, if I want to take October, I'm away 3 weekends out of there's 5 in October, I think. I'm able to actually make those things happen just purely by the structure and the support that I have. I can now do that. Whereas previously I would have gone, how am I going to make that happen? And not thought, had that forethought about how to do it.
Oh, wow. Well, I love it. And, the future is undoubtedly bright. The future is here. 50's okay. I turned 50 earlier in the year. So you and I both, it's a good year to be born. All right.
I'm okay with turning 50, actually. I just side note that I was a couple when I sold the business and everything else, and I did have a little bit of a body meltdown. I stopped hating my body. I hit a point now where I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I know women really do that, and we're really hard on ourselves, and thought, no, this is who I am, and I want to embrace that and be happy with who I am and live, a happy life. And yeah, it's kind of all connected, I think. Yeah. People you're around, they say, there's some of the people you're around, and yeah, making sure I'm around all of these positive people really do make a difference.
Well, I think you've given that gift to many today who will have loved tuning in and hearing your story, your journey, your lessons. You've inspired many in business. I now know that you've probably inspired and will continue to inspire many from a personal and certainly a sort of level in terms of the ring and all these things. You're inspiring now in terms of investing in your journey there. Thank you, Michelle. An absolute pleasure to talk with you today. We might get you back one day. I think we'll get we'll get you to consolidation phase on the portfolio. We'll get you back in for more stories. I'm so grateful.
It's exciting. I'm actually excited. I'm like, ooh, I'm here now, and then I've got all these steps and things to do. But thank you for having me.
Well, it's absolutely our pleasure. We'll say thank you, Michelle, and we'll tune out today thank you for tuning into another episode of our Investor Tales from the Front Yard. Thank you, Michelle, and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, we love hearing people's property investor tales, so if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with us via email at positiveinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We also love your feedback and would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care and bye for now.